Okay, it's the night before League launch. Um, Not playing one of the new gems feels like a total missed opportunity. So I'm gonna go for Wild Strike, which has a massive asterisk on it because it could be awful. But if you can sustain Wild Strike, it's amazing. So Wild Strike, the normal gem changes, the quality change to give you a chance to freeze, shock, and ignite. Everything else is cosmetic. Now, if we look at the Wild Strike that was revealed, let me turn off the title. If we look at the Wild Strike that was revealed, it looks like it changed 7 times. It's the same. 3 projectiles, we expected that. 19% increased area of effect, that's exactly the same as before. It now has 20% chance to freeze, shock, and ignite, which is the quality. And it treats enemy monsters' resistances as being having the values inverted. That, of course, that line is incredibly powerful. So there's a gotcha, and the gotcha is the cost is 28 mana, 28 life, and 28 energy shield. Now 28 mana and 28 life are easy-ish to support. A 28 energy shield is not. That is going to be the tricky bit. Because all these values are of course going to get scaled by support gems as well. Wild Strike normally takes 6 mana. This is 28 mana. Now, one thing to note is that the effectiveness of added damage on this gem is 240%. The effectiveness of added damage on a base Wild Strike is 231% at level 20. So we have 9% effectiveness of added damage added here, which was not in the patch notes. They changed those numbers. So this is an additional variation on this gem, is that the effectiveness of added damage changed, which could mean that the base gem might have a far more reasonable cost, and the cost goes up as you level the skill. If this is not true, this build's going to be garbage, which is why I have a backup plan. My goal is to transfigure a level 1 Wild Strike and not level it up until I can sustain the increased energy shield costs. That is the master plan. Run 2 claws, running 30% instant leech, Ghost Reaver to convert my life leech to energy shield leech. That's where I've got to get my energy shield from. And we'll see if it works out. Again, giant caveat. If the level 1 Wild Strike of Extremes has a cost of 28 mana, 28 life, and 28 energy shield, this idea is dead on arrival, and this is going to be a really cool thing to build around in week 2. So we'll see. This is my plan. So how are we going to avoid breaking our character? So we're gonna have a tree that is, this is the bow tree, and our idea for the bow tree is that we are going to start out, we're gonna grab aspect of the eagle, we're going to level with bow until we can get our divergent of our transfigured Wild Strike. We're gonna pick up Primal Spirit, we're gonna be running the bow, what do you call it? Mana Forced Arrows, Precise Technique, picking up Farsight to get 100% cooldown reduction on Blink and Mirror Arrow. I will be using Mirror Arrow. Mirror Arrow is actually super nice for leveling, and you can create a Mirror Arrow with an alteration and a blink arrow, I believe. It's a vendor recipe. But it's not quite a decoy totem, but it's almost a decoy totem on autopilot. So that's why we pick up this bow mastery here, as well as for some additional accuracy and some more damage. We pick up toxic strikes for chance to poison on hit. We pick up more chance to poison on hit over here as well. We will be running Herald of Agony. And the reason we're going to be running Herald of Agony is that Herald of Agony just does really good damage. It falls off, but the speed at which you'll be mapping is pretty nutty with the setup. And the quality on Herald of Agony is really good for the setup as well. So if First Lab gives me the opportunity to put a quality on, I will quality Herald of Agony. If it allows me to transmute, then let's start shopping. Let's see if we can get there. We go up the side here, we pick up the Frenzy Charge. The +1 Frenzy Charge is because we're going to be running Frenzy in one of our Mana Force Arrow setups. We pick up the additional projectile up here, and we pick up the projectile spears to targets. I don't think this is necessary. This depends on like what you want to use as your main bow skill. You just need to hit enough. We pick up Hunter's Gambit for more damage and 100% accuracy per green socket. The reason we do that is because we have a hard time getting our accuracy up without otherwise having specific gear. We're picking up the life gain on hit, the mana gain on hit. This is where most of our sustain comes from. Picking this up for some chaos resistance and charisma to reduce my mana reservation and make life a little bit more easy. And we are picking up a mana mastery over here for reduced mana cost of skills. Yeah, just make life a little bit more easy. I don't think I want to reduce mana cost of skills. I want to increase mana reservation efficiency. That's the one you want. It will really help out your Herald of Agony and your mana problems in general. Survivalist is primarily there for some additional elemental resistances, makes gearing easier. But yeah, this is the basic idea for a simple Mana Force Arrow build, which then picks up some chance to poison along the way, which allows us to run Herald of Agony as our main reservation, which can deal with bosses and just hits harder, and autopilots itself, which is nice. So right click is Convocation, and then left click is your frequently hitting bow skill of choice. I initially set this up for what's the stupid thing called? Scourge Arrow. I don't know if I'm going to run a Scourge Arrow. I might run one of the other skills instead. I just need to hit frequently. That's the only thing that really matters. Scourge Arrow does hit very frequently and really gets your stacks up quickly, but I don't think the channeling is going to feel good. So what does Wild Strike look like? Very similar. Couple of big changes. First of all, we drop the bow note, right? So aspect of the eagle goes. We no longer need Farsight. We don't worry about Hunter's Gambit. We are going to take a couple of important claw masteries. First one is 10% of leech is instant per equipped claw, and the other one gives 25 life per enemy hit with your main hand claw attack and 25 mana per enemy hit on your offhand claw attack. The 25 mana is the thing that's important. So on average, every hit gives you 12 mana. 13, 14, 15, 16, 20, 23 mana on hit. So we probably are over sustaining our mana on our our abilities at this point with on hit. Our life gain on hit is similarly high. So Ghost Reaver allows us to then dump our life leech into Ghost Reaver. And we have 30% instant leech. Do we do enough damage for this to work out? Are the costs manageable? I don't know. But our damage is going to be really, really predictable with inverting enemies' resistances. Right? If you run into a mob and that mob has 75 resist, you just do more damage. Right? It's not like you lose 75% of your damage. You don't have to invest in penetration. There are some really good supports like Trinity. They're expensive. It's going to ramp up the cost. So you're going to have to figure out, do I want to level up my skill gem or do I want to add a link? But it should be a really nice consistent damage with 2 claws. It's going to attack relatively quickly, trigger a lot of abilities, and if I go Pathfinder, I should be able to get to very high chances of shock, ignite, and freeze, which is a very good defensive layer. So yeah, that is the overall plan. Might have to tweak some things, might have to drop this wheel for just hitting harder, not hitting more frequent. Actually, there's a good chance that's true. So probably increase damage with hits and ailments and change steel charges. Who cares? Oof. Is this still more damage? Yeah, we'll see how all this goes. Getting increased damage on claws is not the easiest thing in the world. Is this increased damage? That's all crit stuff. We'll need to figure that part out. So yeah, we'll probably end up dropping that and taking this down here. It's going to eat a lot of our respec points. It's going to make the build far more risky because we don't know if the damage is going to be there. But getting a bunch of LE damage on claws is easy. If you don't care what type of LE damage you need, you're fine. We can use a chance to poison link for the support gem because that's a relatively cheap link. So that should be easy to work with as well. We don't want to bother with elemental equilibrium because minus 25% resistances is actively bad. We don't have to have clean hits because of that either. I mean, it's pretty close to the same tree. Right, we pick this up. Yeah, it's a bunch of projectile numbers. But this is attack speed, so it's the same nodes. Projectile speed and projectile damage isn't bad. Damage and accuracy isn't bad. I think the basic skeleton works. I still think you want to pick up this claw node down here. I still think that you want to pick up precise techniques. So you do want to go down here. If you're going down here anyway, then I think this pathing makes sense. And then we're trying to get up here. We're going to pick up evasion and energy shield mastery for every 4 seconds. Regenerate 1% of our evasion rating of 1 second, which should fill up our entire energy shield bar. But if we're getting hit by a bunch of small hits, that's gonna feel pretty awful. Actually, we do need to pick up this node because we need non-val strike skills, target 1 additional enemy nearby. And I believe this is a melee strike skill. So yes, we do want that badly. So yeah, this is the high risk option. I don't know what the numbers are going to look like. I won't have more time to plan. I think my chance to poison is probably overcapped. I think that the supports that we'll be looking at for Wild Strike, we're going to be very interested in some of these very relatively low multiplier supports. Like Chance to Poison would be a good one, or like, you know, any of these 10% nodes. Probably gonna need Energy Shield Leech on there as well. It's gonna be exciting. I don't know if it's gonna work out, but I'm comfortable taking that risk because I have a backup plan. Just to show what the backup plan looks like. Do I have a map on me? I have a map on me. Fantastic. Tier 2 map, but nothing bad. Okay. So this character is level 76. This came out of Sentinel. Blast from the Past, the thing we just did. So yeah, we do that. And our Scourge stacks are around 40. Clearing a map takes a couple of minutes. It goes very quick. And you have to get a little bit into the rhythm of like how long you have to charge up your skill. Buy an MTX, that makes it easier for you to see where you're at with charging your skill. But as you can see, this does plenty of damage. One of the problems that, you know, is well known with the little scorpion buddy is that he has a really bad habit of being absolutely awful at movement, which is why we have this right click ability to just reposition him, and that means that he will be attacking most of the time and we don't necessarily have to worry about what's going on. Anyway, that would have been a nice early drop. So Ghosted tier 2 boss dropped with relatively crap gear. We have a 2-link bow that does 138 to 115 damage. Gain some mana on enemies killed. Yeah, crit chance, which doesn't do anything. Helmet, stats, life, resists. Life resists. Life resists. Life resists. It's just, everything's just life resists. There's nothing special on any of these items. Links we use, Precision, Frenzy. Well, Precision can be its own thing. Frenzy, Mana Forged, Toxic Rain. Don't know if Toxic Rain is worth it. It's not, actually, I do know that. Mirror Arrow. Mirror Arrow is going to be much better because I'll be running probably with a shit bow. So having Mirror Arrow generate enemies that actually have elemental attacks is going to be nice. Rain of Arrows, just hit more often. Mana Forge, chance to bleed. It was an empty socket. I did find a 5-link. I think you can easily remove one of the support gems off of the Hail of Agony. Hail of Agony, the important ones are damage on full life, pierce, and minion damage. Vicious projectiles, honestly, would probably make my life a lot easier because my mana would be much higher. So this is quite possibly actively bad that I have a 5-link. Damage on full life, infused channeling, returning projectiles, and Scourge Arrow. This generates all the hits and makes my Hail of Agony always at full stacks. Well, almost always at full stacks. At least. That's not true. Quite often Hail of Agony is not on full stacks, but you charge up the stacks very quickly. You usually hover between 40 and 30 stacks. So with a little bit of luck, with the quality, it's going to be between 45 and 35 stack with a little bit of luck. We'll see how that is going to all work out. Yeah. Why am I burning or something? Poisoned? No idea. Super smooth mapper, and this is with pretty reasonable gear to start the league with. Alright. So that's the backup plan. That was plan A, but I mean, not trying one of the new gems seems like it's almost criminal. So we're gonna go with the new plan A, which is hoping that Wild Strike has good numbers at level 1, or at least reasonable numbers at level 1, and then we will have this as our backup plan, and we know this is gonna go well. Convocation, this is, if anything, is just gonna be better than it was. You don't have to level it up. I'm a Dash gamer. And Scourge Arrow, you don't need Scourge Arrow. Right? This could be like Rain of Arrows. This could be Storm Rain, probably Lightning Arrow. Anything that generates enough hits. Scourge Arrow generates far more hits than you need, but because of channeling, it might actually be worse. You might actually be higher average number of stacks with some of these other skills, because you just refresh your stuff much more frequently. Whereas with Scourge Arrow, you once upon a while get way more stacks than you need. Once upon a while being like, in a second. Which is nice because it is roughly how long my infused channeling takes to charge up as well. Yeah. That's it. I think tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. I think that if you're not super serious, you can take some chances because you're going to get more power. Right? This is the power you gain in this league is accessible to everyone very early on. Now, this is not like Harvest where there is amazing power once you get there. And once people figure it out. This is like day one, you are going to get more power. I will go into the tincture setup. And I don't know what I'm gonna do on the ascendancy side. There's all the ranger ascendancies are looking pretty good. The flask upkeep isn't really an issue because you can do that with some of these other classes. The biggest benefit of going Pathfinder is that it's really easy to sustain like a Bismuth Flask. And if you have a Bismuth Flask, which is just like a chance to shock, ignite, and freeze, if I go the Wild Strike route, would be amazing. If I can get my Life Flask to start recharging my Energy Shield, which is unique. It's not an expensive unique, but it's a unique. Then there's also options there. So we'll see. Anyway. Oh yeah, and remember, if you do go this route, don't take the Act 3 Wild Strike, like buy a level 1/1. Because at that, you really want to make sure you get the lowest level possible under the hypothesis that the cost is going to be a lot lower at these lower levels. But I don't know.